Hello, hello. How are you guys this afternoon? I hope that you are all doing incredibly well. I myself am not, but that's a whole different other story. Um, First thing I want to say is that I am so sad to learn that Princess Catherine, Her Royal Highness, has been diagnosed with cancer and she is undergoing treatment. So at least now we know why the palace didn't quite know what to do. I think they were caught off guard and they did not know what to do about the most popular royal, the most beloved royal, having cancer at exactly the same time as the king. It's terrible. And depending on how often you get out or how wide your circle sphere of influence is, sadly, there are an incredible number of diagnoses happening related to cancer. People in the same family, 3, 4, 5 people in one family with cancer, cancer that is not typically responding to treatment as it has in the past. And I'm not going to dive off into this um, reality, but I am deeply grateful that I have some children who chose not to um, take the vaccination. I did because I loved my job and I wanted to keep my job. And then it reached a point where it was time for me to leave. So we are where we are, and now we just have to move forward and do the best we can, right? So deep sadness for Princess Catherine and King Charles as well. And I hope that she has an incredibly successful go of chemotherapy. She's already had the surgery, and I've been there. I've been through it. Mine was on my face. It took a couple of surgeries to repair the large defect, and it's very difficult, So I hope I hope that her path is one that is easily treated. That's my prayer. So, all right, now we're going to switch gears a little bit to Sebastian Rogers. And those of you that have been a part of this channel for a long time, that, I don't often jump off into these cases regarding children. I try to avoid that. I've been watching closely with Sebastian Rogers, and of course, people have done great coverage. And Chronicles of Olivia, she actually did an interview with Sebastian's mother and stepfather. And so that is part of what I'm going to talk about today. So I'm going to put Olivia's link here. So mods, if y'all can just sort of, reiterate that they can go to Chronicles of Olivia, like and subscribe if they haven't already. She is a very talented videographer, documentarian. She's very talented. She's very young, and she has got an incredible amount of talent. And if you're not following her work, you're missing out on a really good channel. In my opinion, I think it's a really good channel here on YouTube. And I'm going to say this again. We don't always have to agree with one another's opinions, because when you live in that type of world, all you do is create an echo chamber. And echo chambers become quite dangerous. quite dangerous because people stop thinking and they become very robotic like, and they just follow whomever the prescribed leader is at the time. So I would rather be a community made up of many different types of opinions, people that hold a lot of different views, a lot of different opinions, because then I think it makes all of us wiser and can help us really consider, our thoughts on any particular subject. 1 minute. Sorry, I've kind of got a little irritating little cough. Okay, so I'm going to comment. Hey, Kelly O, how are you? Welcome, Shalimar. Good to see you. And Cinnamon, hot, hot, hot. Abbey Road. I don't know why. Every time I see Abby's name in my mind, the Beatles play through. Penny Lane is in my ears and in my eyes. Okay. Hey, Cece Jones, how are you doing? I'm excited that you're here for the live too. Tennessee, this is right up your alley, isn't it? Yes, Tennessee volunteers. This is tough. Rousey, welcome. May they both have a full recovery. Absolutely, Rousey. Okay, so Jackie Blue. Should I do it? Ooh, Jackie Blue. All right, I have to. Hey, Nana Flower Power. Thank God it's Friday, and a hell of a Friday it's been. It's been a horrible Friday if you care about, securing the southern border. It's been a great Friday if you don't mind what's happening at the southern border, but we're all welcome here and we all have differences of opinion, and that's all it is. Everybody's got a different way, different ideas about how things need to go. So come one, come all, bring your opinions with you. Nobody will be silenced here except in the case of harm to small children, animals, or old people, including me. I'm old. Okay. Tootie, Frody, welcome. Sub up to Miss Olivia, please. Cinnamon Hot Hot is putting out that link. Please go to Olivia's channel and like and subscribe and get busy watching her content, because she is a very talented young woman. All right. Rosie. Always think of Rowdy, right? Rowdy, Rousey, but you're Rosie Posey. Okay. Rosie Posey. Let's get it right. Like row your boat, right? Okay. All right. So a little bit of information before we get started with this interview that was done. And, you guys are probably far, I believe that you guys have really been paying attention to the the disappearance of Sebastian. And I think that you all have some ideas. Like this is not going to be something new to you. The information I brought about Preston Lord, and I am continuing to follow that closely. I'm calling the police public information officer about every 3 or 4 days. And I am not dropping, because our youth in this nation have lost their ever loving minds. They have become so violent and so crazy. And it is up to the adults to establish a new normal. Get rid of this. You better find out why the kids in your neighborhood are so out of control that they're killing other kids as fun. We got to find out, because this is not working. So that's another story that I'm following. So many of you have been following Sebastian Rogers' disappearance on the same level that I followed Barry Morphew or Chad Daybell, and now Preston Lord, the murder of Preston Lord. So you guys know this, like, the facts, forward, backward, sideways, the whole 9 yards. I thought Behavior Panel, I thought they did a great commentary on some of these some of these interviews that the mother and the stepfather have done, for the most part, I liked what they did. I more often find myself sort of seeing things more from the view that Chase sees it. However, there were a few things I thought they missed. There were a few things in some of these interviews that I thought for sure they're going to jump on that, and then they did it. For example, when Chris, the stepfather, when he says something like, "Here we go," talking about, oh no, maybe it was the mother that said, "I did this, I did that, I did that. Here we go." I thought that is a very uncomfortable statement because it suggests that she already knows what's going to happen. But they didn't make any comment over that on that in their first videos. They just sort of went right past it and moved on. So now I'm going to jump past those beginning interviews that we initially saw, and I have a little trouble with some parts. But this interview, and I think Olivia did great. I'm uncomfortable with much of it. I will say this right off the top. Hey, hybrid Pisces, welcome, my friend. Those are, it's my opinion, those are in fact two flashlights. Now I have a question. We have 53 people in here, which is not bad for Friday afternoon at 4:00 for a channel that I rarely go live. It's a haphazard me showing up, right? So we're not too bad with 50 people here. So all of you, I am deeply grateful. Thank you for being here. I have a question, and I really want to know this. I'm very curious about what you think. Is it your opinion that the video, the ring camera footage that shows what appears to be two flashlights at about 3:20 in the morning, put a 1 if you say yes, those are flashlights, or maybe it's an iPhone, flashlight. Put a 2 if you don't think that they are artificial lights. Oh, Sleuth Mom, hey, I just watched your video this morning that you included me on. Thank you. It's a crazy case, isn't it? It's really terrible. So what do you guys think? We got about 50 people in here. Brett, the video was released for a reason. Thank you, Brett. Absolutely. So of you guys that are here, 1, if you think yes, it does look like artificial light source, somebody using some kind of light to walk around in the dark. Put a 1 if you say yes. Put a 2 if you say no, it's some kind of like natural light, like reflecting maybe off a car or something like that. Just curious. Sleuth Mom says 1. Nana is 1. Yeah, I think Brett is absolutely right that it was released for a reason. Tootie says 1. Kitty Whiskers, welcome. 1. Amanda and Stardust are 1. Okay, so everybody's on the same page, right? No, it's not natural, Tootie. Because the light, there's one down here and there's one here. It comes this way, they're hanging out around a minute, and then the other one goes right back up to their house. We all know what that is. Somebody was waiting. Somebody else made that walk, deposited, left, passed off something, a package perhaps, and then turned around and ran back to the house. Doesn't take a vivid imagination to see it. It's pretty out there. The other thing I want to say before I start this is there are some people who have been able to get some documents, and it would appear, I feel safe saying this. In fact, CPS has been involved in this family. Sleuth Mom, have you heard anything about this? If they can show that same phenomenon on a different day, then maybe I would believe it's the wind. But until then, not so much. Perfectly logical and reasonable. Agreed. Howdy, Rowdy. Hey, Nancy Drew. Okay. So it does look like there has been some CPS involved in the past with this family, not related to the father, Seth, biological dad. I believe too, now I'm a little hesitant to say this, but Sleuth Mom's here and she has been on this. Like, she knows this situation, this case. I've heard that, but Chris also admitted to CPS involvement on Smiley's interview. Oh, so he admitted that. Well, but here's the deal, Sleuth Mom. If you know that official document proceeding, if you know that information is out there and it's part of the public record, then you're going to have to account for that at some point, right? If people start talking about this, as they seem to be acutely aware, don't they? They seem to be, especially Chris, they seem to be incredibly cognizant of the fact that we're looking, and they know it's all coming out, that they do. And then now neighbors will start talking, and other family, it's about to all come folding out. So yeah, so he's admitted to it with I haven't seen Smiley's interview, Sleuth Mom. I need to find that. I haven't seen the video, just joining this case. Well, I'm fixing to do the video with Chronicles of Olivia, Patriot Angel. However, this couple, it's a bit strange. They are making these rounds. They are going, oh my God. Oh my God, help. Sleuth Mom. Other people. What family does this remind you of? Like, I don't even want to say it. What family does this remind you of? They are going around to all of these YouTube channels. I don't mean like big ones like Interview Room. I'm talking small channel. Now, granted, Chronicles with Olivia has grown a lot. So she is a big channel. But small channels, and they've done all these interviews. It's the Wells all over again. Oh my God. Thank you for saying it. Because as I started looking, I thought, what are they doing? This is so odd. So yeah, I agree. Unfortunately, it is paralleling almost exactly, without all of the substance, problems and whatnot. All right. So, we're looking at sort of a redo of the Wells embracing their 5 minutes of fame because they have a lost baby. This is a little bit different because Sebastian is older. Here's another problem I'm having. All of you guys know this case. What do you think about the missing poster that Mom has got up here in this video? Does it look like a photo of Sebastian now, or does it look like a photo of Sebastian before, like several years ago? Later on in this video, and thank you, Olivia, I think you did awesome, she actually pans to some photographs of him up on the wall, and there are pictures of him that look very current. But that's not the picture that they chose to put on the missing poster. So I think there are several missing posters, but I'm talking about the missing poster here on this video. So I think they sort of made him look a little younger, perhaps. When there are definitely some pictures that I think would have been much more accurate in terms of recognizing him today, right? Okay. So we will, let's see, was there anything else I wanted to say? No, I think I touched on everything I wanted to say. All right, so this video, having done this, um, one more thing. Well, I'll do this later. Okay, so here we go.
Year-old who vanished from Hendersonville, Tennessee on February 26th of 2024. He vanished and hasn't been seen since.
Although he doesn't like to be dirty.
Okay, now even this right here, this gives you the two different pictures. This picture as opposed to this picture. Can we be honest? Which one is more accurate for a 15-year-old? Look at the size of the shoulders on this kid here. He was much younger in this picture. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. This to me would have been much more accurate in terms of a 15-year-old.
It's kind of funny because he also doesn't have awareness, because if you look, he's got chocolate milk on his face because he didn't wipe it off at breakfast.
Okay, what's this about? Why is she talking about how, well, Sebastian really doesn't like to get dirty? Who said that actually? Who was the person who said that? The biological father, Seth. Seth said he didn't like that. He got into some ants, and since that time, he will not go outside without his shoes on. That if he has to try to take the trash out or something and he doesn't want to put his socks and shoes on, he'll put slippers on to go outside. I'm talking about Sebastian. That he would not, in fact, go outside without his shoes on. I'm going to tell you something. Many of us have children that are on the spectrum. Very often, people that are on the spectrum can also have some sensory organization trouble. Things can feel very irritating, and sensory wise, it can be very amplified. So it's not unusual to see kids that refuse to go outside with their shoes off. Yes, I heard about this whole thing, getting grounded, taking your shoes off and standing in the grass. That actually is something that is being promoted throughout the mental health community. Long story about it. I'm not gonna go off on a tangent here to address it, but that is not specific to autism. That is overall, in general, just a form of relaxation, coping skill development, things like that. So this idea that, he doesn't like to get dirty, he doesn't like that feeling. See, I believe that is consistent with what I already know. I don't like what she's done here. I don't like that she points out, see, he lacks self-awareness. He has dried chocolate milk on his face, but he doesn't even know it. That is inconsistent with a kid who's having some sensory perceptual discomfort, and therefore they want to stay clean, whether it's their hands or their face or around their mouth. That's inconsistent. It's not about remembering. It's not about saying, oh gosh, I hope my face isn't dirty after breakfast. That's not how their minds work. They can feel that drying milk. It's pronounced, so it feels very noticeable, and they're distracted by the way it feels. So they have to make sure it's all good and clean, or the same thing with their hands or their feet. Why is she doing this? Well, it seems like a counter argument to what the biological father is saying, is my worry. So the other thing is, how do you know? How do you know it's chocolate milk? Maybe it was his little, peach fuzz growing in. His little mustache that you talked about, that you told everybody that he was so angry about. Maybe it was a shadow. He does tend to seem a little dark here. But to tell people what they have to believe, to tell people what they're seeing is very uncomfortable, and it's inconsistent with what we know about kids that have autism.
It's funny like that.
You see, even here in this picture where he seems much younger, he's still got that darkened kind of shadow or something right there on this part of the lip, right? Why did she have to say, "Oh, he has dried chocolate milk on his face and he wasn't even aware"? Why would she do that? We don't know that that's chocolate milk. It's not good.
Can you recap the overall story of Sebastian's disappearance? Kind of walk through that day.
Again, what do you see right here, right? It's not chocolate milk, I don't think. I think that's the way his mouth looks. I think it's like a shadow maybe. Also, this is the picture. He just looks older. It looks more consistent with a 14 or 15-year-old than the previous picture that they put on the missing poster. And I'm a little worried about this bump up here, this bruise. Maybe it's hair. It looks like a bruise, but I could be wrong.
Sunday, the day before he went missing, we got up and, fun fact, I made breakfast that morning.
Help me. Help me. Fun fact. Fun fact. My child's been missing 20 something days. Fun fact. I cooked. What? Why? I was baffled that Seth said he was just diagnosed in October. Mom and Chris have been working so hard to make him seem incapable of anything. Seems to me that mom may lack some self-awareness. I think mom, how do I want to say this? It seems that mom may not be the one making the decisions in this little family. Is that a good way to put it? If you feel like she may not be the primary decision maker in this couple, put a 1. Not highlighting how much she is charmed by her son or how he is the light of her life. There are many comments that seem to be veiled irritation, right? Seem to be veiled irritation. I'll get to those. What do you guys make of? Fun fact, I cooked. What do you think? I'm very uncomfortable with that. I'm going to put a link here if you want to come up and sort of just tell me what your opinion is of that strange comment. You can, obviously, you don't have to if you don't want to. I thought it was incredibly odd, Lindsay. I still have not yet decided what to make of it. It just seems too planned. It seems like a detail that she could make consistent over multiple iterations of her story that make it sound like she's not changing her story up. It's odd. I think it's odd. Too much detail. And see, Lindsay said it, same thing, and I wasn't even looking at what she wrote. Yeah, I feel the same way, Lindsay. Very, very unusual. And maybe part of the reason why that feels so unusual is because don't most moms give their children breakfast in the morning? I got breakfast. My dad was up when the sun came up, and my whole childhood, I woke up smelling bacon and eggs cooking, right? And my dad, early bird gets the worm. That was the call for get out of bed, get down here, get some food, saddle up your horse, go spend the day riding, right? So I mean, what else do people do when they first get up in the morning? You get up, you go fix your coffee or whatever, and then you make breakfast for the little ones that are in your house. I I don't know. I don't understand this idea. Fun fact, I made breakfast. That's so odd to me. It doesn't mean anybody did anything nefarious. Just seems oddly placed, and it seems contrived, perhaps, right? Okay. Lindsay has 3 children. Same exact thing. First thing you do in the morning, you get up and feed your little ones. That's the normal thing to do. Why make it like it's a big thing? Fun fact. All right. Hope you get well, honey hush. Honey hush, I'm sorry you're sick and very ill too, beyond having incurable lifetime, widespread, nonstop, intractable pain and bedridden. Feel better. Oh, so sorry, you guys. So sorry. In another interview, she had said about looking for Sebastian, she wasn't sure if he had gone down for breakfast. And so people were calling her out because the kitchen is visible from the kitchen. This was all about answering Facebook rumors. Thank you, Sleuth Mom. So it was contrived. Okay. So she is trying to like speak out to the people on social media. Very good. Okay. 3 meals a day, mostly made from scratch. Can smell the bacon now. Me too, Rosie. No, that's okay. Okay, so you can see the kitchen from her bedroom. So yeah, it's a very strange, unusual comment for a lot of reasons.
We had a good time. We were laughing, we were joking. He talked to family on the phone during breakfast to brag. We went and picked up our niece. Yeah, I got a call, and
I need some help here. I think Sleuth Mom has been following this closely. So, question. So she looks at Chris and she says, almost questioning him, she says, "We went and picked up our niece." Now, wasn't he gone? Wasn't he gone to work? And hasn't it come out now that like he hasn't been home, like seen at home in like 3 weeks or something? Yes, we are older, Rosie. The good old days, right? Yeah. Hey, Ramblin' Roan. Uh-oh, I think we must have lost Sleuth Mom. Shoot, because she knows this case incredibly well. Okay, so my understanding, this will give y'all something to look up. Oh, she's still here. Question, wasn't he gone to work? And isn't it true now, Sleuth Mom, that the neighbors have come out and said that they haven't seen him around in like 3 weeks? Is that or 3 weeks at the time that uh, Sebastian went missing? Okay, we'll have to, I guess, yes, February the 3rd. He was gone since the beginning of February, according to the interviews. So how do we make sense of this then? Let's look at this. This was a really weird moment. I thought it was weird.
Sunday, the day before he went missing, we got up and, fun fact, I made breakfast that morning. we had a good time. We were laughing, we were joking. He talked to family on the phone during breakfast to brag. Um, we went and picked up our niece.
What is that? What do you guys make of that? Those of you that have been following this case, what do y'all think of that? I put the M and N on the wrong ends, but only corrected one before sending. My bad. What do you guys think of that? That's a very, first of all, so he's not supposedly there. So why in the world is she looking at him questioningly? We went and picked up our cousin or her cousin. Very strange. Okay, Sleuth Mom, I see you. Okay, you're
Hey,
on.
how are you?
How are you? I'm doing great. Thank you for asking.
I'm doing really well. Sorry, I figured this would be easier. That way, if you have questions, I could just answer. I can only
It's
stay a
so
short
much
period though
easier.
because we have karate testing tonight. So this
Oh,
is
okay.
gonna be a
No,
fun
you're
one,
fine.
hopefully.
So what do you think of this moment? Like, what's this questioning? Like, was it our cousin? What do you think of that?
I honestly am not sure. All of this every time. So we've watched all the interviews now, and she always defers to him for every answer. And then he almost gives her like permission to speak or permission to respond to whatever the circumstances are and things like that. It's just I don't know. She looks to him for approval for everything. Yeah, just exactly what the chat's saying. It's weird. And to me, it's even more weird how much she defers to him for answers because allegedly he shouldn't have been there. He shouldn't know all of
Correct.
the answers.
That was my thought. When this happened, I thought, wait a minute. Why is she looking like confirmation that they went and did this activity? He wasn't there. So how does he verify or how does he tell her, no, your memory's right? It's very strange. Beth Wells says he obviously told her what to say beforehand, and she looks at him like, did I answer that right? Yeah, it does look like that. Now, another question that I have, Sleuth Mom, is the cousin, that is not the same as Chris's daughter. Is that correct?
Right.
And have you heard that there were restrictions that Sebastian was not allowed to be around his daughter?
Yeah, and so he actually addresses that during the interview with Smiley. I know you said you haven't seen that one yet. It's
I have not
definitely worth
seen it.
watching. Um, a lot of I don't know, it's a very frustrating interview because I know that you've watched my channel enough to know that I typically try to side with the families in every single case. I go out
Yes.
of my way to try to make the families be as innocent as possible because I just want to trust the family. And I can't
Yes.
do that with this guy. Like he gets under my skin so bad. And I still don't think that he necessarily got rid of Sebastian or had anything to do with it in that aspect, but just the way he answers questions and how he goes about things, it's just so many red flags for no reason. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, he's really defensive, isn't he?
Extremely defensive. But so Smiley asked him about the issue with his daughter and why Sebastian was not allowed to be around his daughter. And they simply answered that by saying that they were not going to address that or answer that in any way.
Do we know how old the daughter is?
We do not, but allegedly there was a court hearing in regards to the daughter yesterday, and allegedly there is a restraining order that was extended between them. And so that's something that he was trying to disprove by saying that he got a phone call in the middle of Smiley's interview from his daughter. And then Katie says, "See, that disproves what you guys were all saying about him not being allowed to talk to his daughter. He is allowed to talk to his daughter." And so there's a whole lot of back and forth about that. But yeah, he spends most of his time trying to defend the accusations from social media instead of trying to advocate for Sebastian.
Yeah, when I watched this and then the first one, I felt that. I felt like he was much more focused on the way people were thinking of him or what his story is, rather than really focusing on Sebastian, places that Sebastian might enjoy going, types of activities that he might be attractive to Sebastian. You just didn't get much of that. And like I said, several of these comments that each of them makes, to me, it's almost like veiled irritation. Like they laugh, but if you think about what they're saying, it's more of like it would be an irritating bad situation. So yeah, I got some bad feelings from this situation. And I mean, we definitely learned our lesson in Austin, about saying a family did something or didn't do it. Um, but for sure, I'm really uncomfortable with this interview for sure. So
Agreed. Like I said, there's just red flags where there doesn't need to be. There's too much over explaining. There's too much worrying about what social media in general thinks instead of just keeping the focus on Sebastian. And that's just my opinion of it. Um,
I would agree
I
with you. My opinion is the same. What do you make of this? Why do you think they're doing this? Why do you think they're doing the Wells playbook, and going to all these different channels? What do you think that's about?
I don't know because he they seem to choose like extremely small channels or channels that people like Smiley's World. I don't even know if I had actually heard of her before before the interview happened. But then you see people with platforms like Pascal or Ickadmel or you know, JLR or whichever flavor of creator that you would want to choose. Everybody is willing for these people to come on and they won't do it. He even said that he wouldn't interview with Nick from Channel 5, Nick Beres. He won't even interview with him because he thinks that Nick painted them in a bad light, and so they won't give him the interview. And I'm just like, that's he's been pushing this case from the beginning since the Amber Alert was issued. Like, really?
Wow. Well, I mean, that was the same motivations with the Wells, right? They kept saying how they were such fine people and it was just the people of social media that were painting them to look bad, but they really weren't bad. They really hadn't done anything wrong. And then we found out actually that it was the day after Summer's disappearance that CPS was coming to get all of the kids. So that's very, very interesting. So we don't really know why he is supposedly not able or has not been able to have access to his daughter. But the way that one question I had when she looked at him and said, "We went and got our cousin," I took it one of two ways. Do I have my story right? Is this what you wanted me to say? And then the other thought was maybe she's having trouble identifying the person as cousin versus maybe nephew or uncle, or I don't know. But I did think I do think this is a really strange moment. And, take from it what you will. But what you can't overlook is just exactly what Sleuth Mom said, that she is looking to him for clarification, but he wasn't even there, according to their story. And he's some kind of like crane operator. Is that what it is?
Yes, and this is what Erica is saying here. She said it was her niece in the first interview. Now it's the cousin.
It was her niece. Really? Oh my God. Okay. Very uncomfortable. Smiley did her best to encourage him to go on big and small channels. He was definitely cherry picking who he would talk to. This is his fifth marriage. We had to listen all about past wives. This was on Smiley's interview that he talked about his past wives.
Yes.
I got to go find Smiley's interview.
Yeah, yeah, you do. Honestly,
I missed out.
it takes a good 4 or 5 hour period, set it aside for a live and just watch it together because I'm telling you, the whole thing's worth listening to. The whole thing.
Golly. Well, I'm intrigued. I'm definitely gonna watch it. Yeah, I can see my whole Friday afternoon and evening is gonna go toward Chris's interviews. Crane operator who works with iron workers. They are all a breed of their own. 5 marriages, good Lord. Well, I think when you factor in number one, you could argue, right, that he's on his best behavior in front of these cameras, correct? He's very aware of people's opinion of him. And so he is trying really hard to put his best foot forward. And we're having this negative reaction, even though he's doing the best he can. 5 marriages and the CPS involvement. It's not looking good, is it?
No. I think if Sebastian ran away, that there was certainly reasons why he had to leave the house.
I would agree with that. And I think that thought has come to my mind a bit. There are situations where there's abuse and maybe a judge awards visitation or even custody to an abusive parent. And then a parent is terrified and they're willing to go underground with their child, right? There are those. I mean, we tend to get very angry about parental abduction and it shouldn't happen. It's wrong. But realistically, there are circumstances where the good parent is trying to protect their child. And so I wondered that, when I first heard the story and the fact that there's just nothing, there's no indication that anybody broke in the house, there's nothing. And I wondered, is someone trying to protect Sebastian? I had the same thought with Summer Wells. It's hard to understand how a person just vanishes. And, these are both two situations in Tennessee. They've just disappeared, just poof, gone. So it's very, very frightening. Peter Hyatt had a good theory that they locked him out as punishment. But it does, yes. But then the follow up to that is then what happened? I wouldn't say that this particular neighborhood they live in would be one that there's a lot of crime happening around every corner. So you still have to, even if they locked him out as punishment, what do you
Where did he
think?
go? Yeah, where did he go from there?
Yeah, was he going to wander off? But still, where would he be? I heard they have gone over this area with a fine tooth comb, thinking maybe
He
he
coulda
did
walked away.
succumb to the
Yeah.
elements, and he's not there.
Mm-mm. You know what, though? And the other thing is, so this is a thought that I had actually had too, just based off of Katie, whenever she's doing the one interview, she talks about whenever she realized he was missing, that she called Chris and she immediately said, he's not there. And it made it sound like, you know, where was he supposed to be? Like she entered into the conversation having previously talked about putting Sebastian somewhere or making him go somewhere or something along those lines, and then he wasn't there whenever she woke up to go look for him. And then that's why it was the instant panic that you wouldn't, in my opinion, have with a 15-year-old, or even if he has a reduced age because of his autism. I don't think you would have the same reaction even with a 10-year-old, 11, 12, 13-year-old. He's not a 3-year-old. And so that to me, I also had the thought before Chris had even said that, I was like, did she walk him outside or put him outside or something along those lines? And then whenever she went to get him in the morning, like he wasn't there. But then, like you said, where would he have gone? I mean, he didn't just poof into thin air or anything like that. But then the other side of things is, so somebody actually reached out to me after my live this afternoon, and they told me that they were from around the area, which, take it as you will, it was a random email in my inbox, but that they were from around the area, lived in the neighborhood, and that they would, on a regular basis, whenever Chris was home, hear them fighting, hear the yelling and stuff like that that would happen throughout the neighborhood, like through their house, like from the outside, you could hear the yelling sometimes and stuff like that. And so that tells me that if he was locked outside and was trying to get back inside, that he would probably pound on a door, yell, something along those lines,
Yeah.
that the neighbors would have heard it. So,
Yeah. Absolutely. And, many of us have children that are on the spectrum. Even some of our kids are young adults and are on the spectrum. You would have a child that was in a state of panic to to be locked out and unable to get to their safe place. They would be in full meltdown. It would be clear to anyone within distance that there was something terrible happening. For example, a kid on the spectrum who loves to go, let's say, to a library, a bookstore, and that's the normal Saturday outing. Saturday comes, kid on the spectrum says it's Saturday, going to the bookstore. Go to the bookstore, spend there 3 hours like clockwork, which you do every Saturday, and then leave. And the sister or the brother, somebody's supposed to be there with them, right? But maybe in a different part. If they walk to the area they believe that safe person is supposed to be at, and they're not there, they won't just walk around and look for them. They won't like seek out an employee at the store or the library. They may just instantly go into panic because they don't have access to that fluid reasoning. When they're as long as things are as planned, what they expect, then they know what to do and they're very comfortable and they can do very well. But if they encounter obstacles, or if the setting changes so that their normal way of doing something is not there anymore, then they get terrified and the brain is just overwhelmed and can't generate solutions. And so many of them will just stand there and just scream in terror. So if they are locking him outside on a regular basis, like this is a common thing, then maybe he does have a place that he would go to during that time. But even in that situation, Sleuth Bomb, that doesn't make sense to me, because he would have to be there somewhere. If he wandered, if he got scared, or he went, look, maybe he thought I'll walk to my dad's, or
right.
he's got to
No, I
be
agree.
somewhere.
They would have found him by now. And that's the issue with this. Either there, in my mind, there's two things that could have happened. Either he left with someone who he had previously talked to through the internet, through gaming, through something along those lines, or there's foul play. Like, because there's no chance in my mind that he is hiding in the woods or in the neighborhood or somewhere along those lines by himself anywhere. Somebody has to be assisting him if he
Yeah.
is still gone, by his own choice. The other option is obviously, the one that I hope isn't. I don't even put that one on my radar because I don't want it to be foul play.
Yes. Well, unfortunately, I am at that point that there's really not any other explanation than someone is involved. They would have found him if it'd been a situation where he wandered off. Some kids that are on the spectrum, they pick breadcrumbs, right? They go from one step to the next, whatever interests them, and so they can get lost.
Right.
But you find them, right? I mean, no matter how far they go, eventually someone will find them. What about that little kid that they found in the middle of the cornfield with a dog? The dog found him and they just hunkered down together, and then a guy on a four-wheeler just happened upon them, right? So my understanding is they came out in mass and just went through like a 7-mile radius, and he's not there. I think too, when you couple it with the lights, that looks very frightening. I'm just going to say this. I'm not saying who it was or who I think it was or anything like that. It looks like to me that there was someone waiting and someone left from point A and walked to the waiting person and deposited whatever, I don't know, could have been a sandwich, could have been a bag of donuts, but walked to that waiting light. And then once that happened, the waiting light went away and the person with the bag of donuts went right back to where they came from. I don't know how you can argue with that. That's what it looks like. There's really no other.
No, I agree. And the thing though is with that, TBI did make a statement a few days ago saying that they did not, that the footage wasn't important to the disappearance or something along those lines. I can't remember their exact wording. And then Chris, which his statements, you know, you have to kind of take them as you will because you don't know if it's truthful or not. I mean, every day stuff changes. But he said in one of the Facebook groups that the light was just the wind and several floodlights out in the yard, and that it looked like they were moving because the wind and how it was blowing them. But like I said in the chat earlier, you know, you show me it doing that on a different day, then maybe I would believe it. But it just so happened at 3 a.m. on the night that Sebastian allegedly left in the middle of the night. I can't believe that that's not something to do with something.
There's those coincidences, right? When you have been talking true crime for a long time, you begin to realize coincidences are not often coincidences. So I agree that I think that would be a noble effort for whomever had the origination of the video. I think it would be a noble effort to try to recreate the video. I think that would be time well spent. Show us that is what it was. So, but you won't get that, you know. So, floodlights aren't usually on a string as Christmas lights blowing around. Yeah, yeah. I mean, floodlights are usually on an arm, right? They're affixed to a solid surface. So, but they said there were lights on a string. Is that what he said?
He was saying that they were floodlights and that the wind was blowing everything and it just made it look like that's what was happening. I don't know. His explanation didn't make sense to me, and that's why I'm still thinking it's flashlights.
It looks like it to me. And you know, if it's your phone light, that light can be turned down very low or very bright. So I don't know. But once I heard from people I trust that they did get the documents, there is CPS involvement. Then I thought, okay, I'm going to comment on this now because there's something objective here that says there's a problem. So, anything else that I need to look at besides Smiley's interview? Do you know the exact name of that channel?
Smiley's World Stories, I believe. I can drop the link in the back chat for you.
I would be so grateful. World Stories. So y'all are doing karate this evening.
Yes, he has his Taekwondo black belt testing.
Black belt. Wow. Well, that is impressive. I'm sure he'll be a shining star.
Absolutely. I'm going to drop that link in the back chat, and then I'm going to go ahead and hop down because it's just about time for us to leave. I appreciate you letting me come up.
No, I appreciate you being here. Thanks for the link, and absolutely good luck. I know he doesn't need it because his skills are just going to make him shine.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right, everybody. So thanks, y'all. # thank you, Sleuth Mom. She is a wealth of information, and I really appreciate her. All right. So we will for sure. I'm going to go to back chat. Hold on once it's there, I will get it. And then that'll be the next thing that we do. We'll look at Smiley's interview, but we'll go ahead with this one. Welcome, Ancient Ruby. I love your name. I do not know any mom that would take a photo of his face in chocolate, more like bruises. There, one of the pictures, I think it's actually the same. Looks like there's a bruise up here, and then looks like maybe around here as well. But maybe it's just like where he's starting to get a little mustache. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it could just be like a shadow from the contours on his face that this just sort of looks dark. It does seem like in several photos, he's got a dark area here. Look at Katie's past. She has a record. Thank you, Erica Hartman. I haven't done that yet, but thank you for the heads up. I will. I know he has as well. All right, so I got the link here. Copy. Okay, so for sure we're going to do Smiley's interview later on, like after this interview. Okay, so thank you, Sleuth Mom. So she gave me the link, and this is it. I'm going to go ahead and subscribe, and then we will. In fact, I think I'll go ahead and save this video to my hard drive. If y'all just wait with me for 1 second, it takes literally a minute, 60 seconds to download it. Hold on. I hope you guys are happy that it's Friday. Those of us that still work, thank God it's Friday. So happy. All right, so I got that saved. If it'll quit spinning. Spinning. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. Took me a second. Okay, so let's go ahead with this interview, and I'm going to be quiet now.
Yes, yeah, I got a call and asked if I could go and pick her up, and I did. And so we went and did that. We went to BJ's. Had a good time there. He ate a colossal popcorn. Came home to put groceries away because we bought snacks because, you know, he's 15 and snacks. We went to the bowling alley. And then from there, we went to dinner. Came home. He took out the trash because that's his chore. He takes the can to the end of the driveway. About 9 o'clock, told him to go to bed. And he's come out of his room where he was playing. And he said, "All right, good night, Mama. Good night, puppies. I love you." And went to bed. He was doing something in his room because about an hour later I heard some noise and I was like, "I don't care what you're doing in there, but go to sleep."
Did it? Okay, so previously, let me make sure I'm right about this. Previously, the first interview they did, she said, I told him to go to bed, and then she laughs and she says, and he did. Is that right? She subtly knocks him so much in her words. Agreed, Jackie. And Chris does too. That they tell some they say little comments or they tell stories. They may laugh, but you can sense that there is some kind of negative thing underneath it. Boyfriend seems to like that story. Seth's mom says Katie is very conniving and deceitful. It is a really beautiful Friday after buckets of rain here.
And about midnight, I got up and I went to bed. And 6 o'clock, I went to wake him up for school Monday morning. And that's when he wasn't here.
What was
And that's when he wasn't here. School Monday morning.
Look at Chris's eyes.
And that's when he wasn't here.
It's like, do you believe this?
what was going through your mind at that point? Like, what were the feelings that you were feeling?
To censor myself. Holy freaking crap, this can't be happening. Where is my kid? Choice words were used. Like, where the F is he? I had looked through the house for him because it was typical for him to get up and come and rummage for snacks and things like that. And he likes to dip behind the, walls and watch, and then he comes out after I come back and he likes to scare me. But after I looked, and I mean, mind you, all of this took place in like 1 minute flat. But I didn't see him in his room. I looked all over. I ran through the whole house. I looked out all the doors and windows, and I was like hollering his name. And I picked up the phone and I called my husband and I said, I can't find him. And he said, what do you mean? I said, he's not in this effing house. I can't find our son. And
Okay, so that is a real notable change, right? In the original interview, she says, first thing she says to him, he's not there, correct? Well, now it's been edited to he's not in this house. That's a pretty big edit. That's a pretty big edit.
I jumped in my car and I drove around the neighborhood and I drove over by the school, and he's already at this point I was like hysterical and I was crying, I was screaming, and he was like, he three-wayed law enforcement and was telling them like our son is missing and we don't.
Okay, so I think for me now, there are a few things that have been a little uncomfortable to now. This is very uncomfortable for me here, and it is this. When I think about human nature, and I think about our frame of mind, if you had a 15-year-old boy in your house and you woke up and they were not there, you had looked everywhere to determine, no, he's really not here. Would you call, would your first inclination be to call a man who has not been around for 3 weeks? Would you, is that what you would do? If you believe your first reaction would be to call your husband who had not been there in 3 or 4 weeks, put a 1. If you think you might be more likely to start reaching out to people that may actually have been someone that your 15-year-old would have gone to, like, let's say, their biological father's house, then put a 2. See, Erica Hartman just typed that as I was talking. That is exactly what I think, Erica. She should have called Seth to see if he went to his dad's house. Without a doubt, right? Even so I had this really cute nephew, and he was a handful. And so one time he thought that it would be fun to hide. He hid a lot. That was sort of his little thing he did. I think he was maybe he was 4 at the time, 3, 4 years old. Anyway, he liked to hide. That was one of his things that he did. And they were all over at my other brother's house. And he ended up, they couldn't find him. So they're all panicking and they're looking for him. They don't see him. They bring the dogs in the house to try to track him and see where he could be. And while all this is going on, I get a phone call. I'm at my house, which is, a mile down the road or whatever. And they call and they're like, oh my God, is he there? And I'm like, no, why would he be here? I haven't seen him. And luckily, they did find him. He had there was a suitcase that was under the bed. He had actually crawled in and gotten between the top of the suitcase and the bottom of the bed. So even when they got down on their hands and knees and looked under the bed, they still didn't see him. And he was hiding up there and he ended up falling asleep. So that was a horrifying day. Like everybody was terrified. And the dogs were barking and they kept looking under the bed and they didn't see him. And then finally somebody decided to pull the suitcase out thinking he might be in it, but he was actually laying on top of it. But anyway, long story. But it shows you that when this happened, they didn't immediately call people that he would have gone to. The first thing they did was actually go like next door or out the front. They went nearby and then they began walking it further out. And that's when I got the phone call. But the child, the mother of the child, she didn't get called immediately because she was in another town shopping. So it doesn't make sense to me. This man hasn't been home in 3 or 4 weeks. And I have a husband who will go away and work for like a month, and come back. He's not been there in 3 or 4 weeks. And yet when her child goes missing, the first thing she does is call him and said he's not there. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you run to the neighbors? Why wouldn't you call people that maybe Sebastian likes to go to their house? Or better, why not call the dad, the biological dad, who doesn't live very far, like he's like 45 minutes away, but why not call him and say, have you heard from Sebastian? And that is not what happened, is what she's saying. Is the very first call she makes is to Chris, who's not been home in 3 or 4 weeks. And then listen, here's the big red flag. This is it right here. Why in the hell would you set up a 3-way call with the 911 police? Why would you do that? Why would you 3 or 4 weeks since you've been home and you get a phone call from your wife that her biological child is missing? And so you say, hold on a minute, dear. Let's get set up on a 3-way call with the police. Oh, so you would both be a part of the conversation and know what was said? So you would both be on the same page? This is so what is it that Drip Drop says? This is sus to us. All right.
I don't know what's going on. And he was like, go back to the house. They're on their way. And I drove back to the house. And 20 days later, we haven't found him.
Yeah, I can't even imagine how stressful that is. And also, like when we were driving up here, like this neighborhood is so pretty and nice. And
now in this part, okay, let me interject some information here. So when you look at studies about patterns of behavior and communication, the person who is talking very often looks away from the person who is listening. That is a normal that behavior is seen in the majority of conversations, right? So the person that is doing the talking will very often look away from the listener. But the listener who is trying to collect information, not give information, but collect it, that person is calling on all of their senses to get as much information from the environment as possible. And so I may talk, look away, look up here, look around while I'm speaking and saying whatever it is I want to say. But the very minute that you as the listener, now you turn into the speaker, once that happens, I'm no longer looking up here talking. Once you start talking and I'm now the listener, my whole brain is going to go
don't know what's going on. And he was like, go back to the house. They're on their way. And I ran back, drove back to the house. And 20 days later, we found him.
Yeah, I can't even imagine how stressful that is. And also, like when we were driving up here, like this neighborhood is so pretty and nice. And do you think, has he ever like walked away before, or like has that ever happened? It's just
No.
no, first time.
He's not a child that wanders. He's not one that is like,
He doesn't have a history of being
No.
an eloper, which is common. And I have friends with children on the spectrum who do struggle with elopement with their children, but no, Sebastian.
Question. I'm going to hate this answer. No sound for how long? For a long time. Gorgeous Friday. Oh, this makes me so mad. Okay, question. Do you okay, I should have sound now. I must have hit the microphone when I was talking. Did you guys hear what I said about the speaker does not often make eye contact. It's intermittent, but the listener always turns toward the speaker to take in what's being said. I know, Jackie Blue. I'm going to edit this when we're done. Did y'all hear that part or you didn't hear it? I need to know how far to go back. Okay, so you did hear that part. Okay. So did you hear the part that I said about the research where there were shooters coming into the mall and that we looked at how adults reacted to the first sounds of gunshot versus the children, how they react to the first sound of gunshot? No research information. Thank you very much. Okay. So the big thing that bothers me here with this particular bit of this interview, the thing that bothers me about this is that a lot of people say, well, Katie never looks up. She doesn't look at Olivia. She talks and talks, but she looks down at the table, blah, blah, blah. The reality is that the research in communication has shown us that when you are the speaker, you make small amounts of eye contact, intermittently looking away. But when you are the listener, your whole brain, everything turns toward the speaker. That when we become the listener, our brain wants to collect as much information as we possibly can. And so we immediately, as soon as, like, I may talk, look around, and the very minute you start talking, my brain's going to go, zoom, and I'm going to come right in and focus on you, your body movements. I'm trying to gather every bit of verbal and nonverbal information that I can gather. So it is not unusual for people to avoid eye contact as they are the speaker. And then as soon as another person starts speaking, they give them full attention, right? And so that is what I see with Katie. I don't have any trouble with this. She is a little bit more compartmentalized, a little bit distant. She does tend to look down at the table throughout much of when she's speaking. But as soon as Olivia starts talking and giving her input, Katie's eyes come right up and focus on her, correct? So I think we showed that.
Back to the house, and 20 days later. We haven't found him.
Yeah, I can't even imagine how stressful that is.
Okay, so as soon as Olivia starts talking, Katie's making eye contact. Okay, so this is normal, expected communication behavior. Now, it is very interesting, more interesting to me, not that she tends to do most of her, she looks down at the table through much of the time that she's conveying information. To me, that's not nearly as important as this next part, and it is this. Katie does not look to Chris for comfort. That's what you're feeling uncomfortable about, I think, because she is making eye contact with Olivia, but we don't really seem to notice that. There's something else, and it is that she is really staying away from Chris visually. So research, looking at how people, looking at mall security camera where there was a shooter, and looking at how people react when a shooter comes in and there's a mass shooting event, looking at how adults react versus how children and teenagers react. So at the first sound of gunshot, adults lift their head, making themselves a target. They lift their head and they look around like, where's that coming from? Like, who's shooting? What's happening here? Children, even as old as 12 or 13 years of age, their reactions, first sound a gunshot, their head goes down. First, when they first hear that, it's like like they have an instinct, right? It's reflective to go down, make themselves smaller. And then what do their eyes do? They look to the trusted person. They don't jump up and run immediately. Some of them do, but for the most part, they don't. They go down and then they look for that trusted person. And depending on what's happening, they may just look at the trusted adult, the mom, the dad, maybe the older brother or sister. They may just look to them until the parent like motions for them or the parent runs to the child. But the focus of the research was this communication in this moment of fear, that people's eyes, we go towards safety. We go towards that person or that thing that provides comfort, right? That is what is so interesting in this particular video, that while I'm watching this, I'm not too, she is a bit compartmentalized. She's a little bit different, distant. But she does look up when she's no longer the speaker. She does focus on Olivia as Olivia's speaking, but she doesn't ever make that emotional check-in. She doesn't ever turn to Chris like, I feel safe. About the only time that we really see her look at him is this kind of weird, either like verification that what she's saying is accurate, or is she looking to him to get permission to say what it is that she's about to say? And I think we all kind of we have our own way of sort of seeing it and giving it meaning. But for me, the more instructive issue, she doesn't take those comfort glances. She doesn't look over to him to feel relaxed and to feel safe. And I think that matters.
And also, like when we were driving up here, like this neighborhood is so pretty and nice. And do you think, has he ever like walked away before, or like has that ever happened? It's just no, first time.
He's not a child that wanders. He's
So her husband, supposedly her mate, he begins talking. Where's she looking? Not only does she keep her eyes down, not making that comfort glance, right? She sort of leaned back away from him. You know, she's kind of got her shoulder up a little bit of a, maybe it is all unconscious she's not aware she's doing it. Maybe it's intentional. Maybe she is trying to block off a safe area for her to feel, protected in. But something is happening between them because you don't see that bonded couple behavior of, hey, we're together, look at me for a moment, we're safe, we're okay. You don't see that here.
He's not one that is
He doesn't have a history of being an eloper, which is common. And I have friends with.
And I thought here that Katie got a little irritated with him. She just sort of took over. He doesn't have a history of running, or she's using the proper term, which is elopement. But he's not a runner. He doesn't, we haven't had trouble with elopement with him. And he's just sort of like, okay, stand corrected. But what she doesn't do, she doesn't make eye contact with him at all.
Children on the spectrum who do struggle with elopement with their children, but no, Sebastian, that's one thing. It's always been a blessing. He's not been an eloper or a runner. His primary areas are like social and emotional dysregulation issues and things like that. But he's very smart. He's functional. Overall, he's a pretty happy kid. I mean, he's a teenager. He's coming into a.
And I can't get over that missing poster. That is not a picture of him when he's even 14 or 15 years old. Why did they choose that picture? It's very strange.
His hormones. He's angry that he's growing a mustache, but for the most part, he's a happy kid. And
what are your theories? Like, I'm sure your mind has thought of every possible thing that could have happened, but is there any theory that you can talk about that you think?
What I can tell you is, with all law enforcement, with everybody that's involved, there's nothing that's been eliminated. Everything is on the table. Everything is being looked at from every possible aspect.
Everything from he got out and walked away and was outside.
Did you see her look at him a single time at all? So there's no comfort there. There's no confidence. She's not looking to him as, I'm protected. I'm in this horrible situation. I feel so frightened, but I'm safe because I'm with my person. It's not there.
Out of the search radius before we started searching to the worst. And
that's currently where we're at. I mean, it's
really trying not to go down that road because we're gonna find him.
Speculating causes problems. Assumptions cause issues.
What? What is he talking about? What in the world did he just do? We now are finished talking about Sebastian. Now Chris has more important things that he thinks he needs to get on the table. Red flags.
And based on facts of what everybody knows, right now, there's nothing, and everything is still on the table to being looked at.
We just know he's out there somewhere.
One other question I have is, recently Channel 5 in Nashville, they had security footage that showed 2 flashlights the night he disappeared. Is there anything that you think about this video? Or
Sure. So there's a lot of speculations about that video that are floating on the internet. Okay. And that is exactly what it is. It's speculations. Now, what I can give you an official statement on is TBI Newslink has released a statement from law enforcement, between local law enforcement, state law enforcement, some federal law enforcement, and they have analyzed that video so many times over that everything that everybody is trying to assume is a flashlight, I hate to say this, it's not. As much as we would love it to be one, it's not. Um, I'm not going to go into details as far as where that video is shot from, but I can tell you, as the parents, we have seen the video firsthand from law enforcement. We know exactly where it was taken from, and nothing that is being assumed right now is actually true about that video, unfortunately.
Then why not tell us where it was shot from?
Anything about any other videos or anything like that, please refer to the TBI news link that they have out there, the updated Amber Alert stuff, and it will give you the most up-to-date information that all law enforcement has, and they will give you current as far as what's what and how they're looking at things.
And if there's any new video, forward it to them.
Please.
Yeah. Security footage is really
Not a single look toward her protector. Not a single glance toward the person that she takes comfort from. The one person on the entire planet that she trusts and believes in. Not one single look. And yet, the very minute that Olivia begins to speak, she makes absolute eye contact.
like a game changer. We're working on Riley's strain and trying to find like if someone missed one on a corner or something. So that's
around this neighborhood, and this whole community. I mean, I can tell you that much here. When it comes to the cameras, there has not been one person that has said no. And trust me, it is greatly felt that everybody has been so open, so helpful in pushing out any which way they can. I mean, there's been some families that have actually been on vacation that weren't
Yes,
home,
Joey
and they got
Ratsa.
they've got permission from that family to take a look at their cameras and go in their houses without them even being present, which has been amazing. So, but yeah.
that's good. If there was something that you could say to Sebastian if he was listening, what would you say?
Oh God. That if you can see this or hear this, that we just want you home, baby, and we love you. And there ain't nothing gonna stop us from coming and getting you and bringing you home.
I can't speak for his father, but I'm pretty sure.
What are you talking about, Chris? You can't speak for his father. Now, I'm a little irritated. I'm curious. How many of you were irritated at this? I can't speak for his father. Just, if you were irritated, just put some emoji up. Any whatever emoji you want to put up, just put a number, anything. Were you irritated? I thought this was the craziest, most inappropriate moment of this whole interview. Look, so for the father, Seth, this I think is incredibly important. Seth and Katie they break up. They have this child, they break up, they're no longer together. She ends up with this guy. So they move. She goes into this big fancy house and, it's got everything all the luxuries and comforts that money can buy, correct? The dad, the biological father, not all this available cash. And yet he goes in search of a job that gets him close enough to his son, Sebastian, that he can now have regular visitation with his child. Even though it was a magnificent financial hardship, Seth made the sacrifice to follow Katie so that he could see his child. And so he got this job there much closer that they could be, that he could maintain his relationship with his son. And he had regular visitation, and it was within weeks Sebastian was going to be going to actually live with Seth, right? So exactly, Chris, because we all know you're here now listening. By now, he's seen this video. He's here. He's listening. Now, in this video, you sit up. A man that followed his son, switched jobs to be able to have regular visitation with his child. Now, you stand up and go, "Whoa, I can't speak for his dad." No, you can't. And you want to here's a better comment, Chris. He not only does Seth not need you to speak for him, Seth doesn't even have to say a single word. You want to know why, Chris? Because Seth's behavior says everything. The fact that this man would change jobs, follow his son to the mom's new marriage, new big fancy fine house, that he would get within an hour driving distance so that he could maintain a relationship with his son, tells me everything I need to know about Seth. Not so sure about you, though. I'm still on the fence about you, Chris. Okay, so I did get a little irritated. Apologies. He's bold in comparison from this interview to Smiley's, where he shows himself more. He really goes off the rails. I watched Smiley's video. Seal, we're gonna watch Smiley's video because I have not seen it. So you guys are gonna get my true raw reaction. And I heard it's a doozy. So I'm there. Interesting. It struck me at first like a respectful thing to say that he can't speak for his dad, but really he could say confidently, we all love him and want him home. Well, and I do think that's what a regular person would say. I think if you're asked, about Sebastian, he's missing, then you say, she says, I want him home. I want him safe. Honey, if you can hear me, call, and then it's his turn. And instead of saying, we love Sebastian so much, there are so many of us that love him. Anywhere you are, Sebastian, we will come to you. We will find you. He throws in this little zinger right at Seth's head. What the hell do you mean you can't speak for his? I done got mad now, people. Wow. Yikes. You won't be on the fence anymore, says Seal. He is much more assertive and unlikable on Smiley's. Well, I really thought that this particular interview, Olivia's done an amazing job. This is very good. But I think it is important to pay attention to her body language. And I don't mean, is she looking left or is she looking right? No. I'm giving you good research about patterns of communication among people, and that their interview, it exemplifies that when Katie is the speaker, her eyes are down or she's sort of looking around. But then as soon as Olivia begins to speak, she looks up and she watches Olivia. Her brain is taking in information, right? That is what we would expect to see. What we would never expect under any circumstances. There's no explanation in my mind. You've got two people here that are supposed to be in a committed, loving relationship. There's a missing child that they both love. Why isn't she looking to him for comfort? The only time we get any eye contact is when she's like checking to make sure she's saying cousin. But we also know the other interview, she said nephew. So now maybe that's how we know why she was looking. Maybe she forgot. Maybe she forgot the story. So what I'm really more interested, though, not a lot of conjecture and speculation, what's pretty good empirically backed information is, why isn't she reaching out? Why isn't she looking for that verbal connection? I mean, that visual connection. It's not there. And in a couple of places, there she has like a sense of contempt. She seems very contemptuous of what he's saying in the moment. Yeah, almost like forgot the script, right? It's like they are almost intimidated or showing over respectfully behavior to Olivia. Uh well, there's something about being in the room. There's something about being in the room with a competent person, right? When you're confronted with someone who's calm, they are confident, they are assertive, they know that they're in control, that can make other people, if they're being dishonest, it can make them uncomfortable. So maybe Olivia has that that air of authority about her in these situations with interviews. No, I think she did. This was an excellent interview. Hey, to all the chatters, please, if you have not already, hit the like button for this video, and I invite you to subscribe if you haven't already. Okay.
We all have the same opinion that we love you, miss you, we want you home. If you can, call us, get wherever you can, let us know, and we will come get you.
Call 911, run out into the street, go in public, anything. The signs that we've been blessed to have family, friends, and even some in the community that have been helping us, but we've been out spreading those as far as we can, even over state lines, trying to get awareness, because not everybody knows that he's missing, and there's a chance that if someone could see him and not even realize who he is. So we want to get his face out there because we want him home.
Surprisingly, even locally, there are some folks that don't even know. Surprisingly, even locally, there are some
Look,
folks.
I'm telling y'all. I'm telling y'all. So she's been looking at Sebastian, talking to him, right? There's a connection there. Chris begins to speak. Remember what I said about those little kids in the mall when they're shooting, they feel scared. They just, eyes connect with the eyes of the caregiver. Just, am I safe? Is everything okay? This woman is talking about losing her child. That is one of the most frightening emotions that any female can experience. Watch when she moves her eyes away from Sebastian's picture, back toward the direction of Olivia. That's a perfect opportunity to sort of just look at Chris like, I'm okay. He's still here. He's with me. He's here to protect me. We're going to be okay. All that nonverbal stuff that is wrapped up in a glance. Watch what her eyes do. It's very telling.
Space out there because we want him home.
Surprisingly, even locally, there are some folks that.
What do you think? Do you think it was just accidental that she didn't look at him, or does it look like she literally closed her eyes so she didn't have to look at him? Hey, wise old lady, how are you? She doesn't even look at him when she looks at the sign. Absolutely. No, she did not want to look at him. Absolutely, indie girl. She literally closes her eyes and then opens them again when she's faced toward Olivia. She literally dove under the water to not look at him. Agreed. Yep. What's the story, Chris?
Don't even know what's going on. And
She's
it's
looking
kind of
away
like
from him.
a
She's
shocker.
leaning
Like, how do
away
you
from
not
him.
know? You know, it is amazing because in the past couple of weeks, you've got 2 cases. A 15-year-old boy that has vanished without a trace. You've got
He is now about to speak. Look at the authority on his face. Look at how assured he is that what he is about to say is so important and so pertinent and so necessary to the situation at hand. He is literally about to address the disappearance of Riley Strain, who got kicked out of the bar for being incredibly intoxicated. Whether he's roofied or whether he's intoxicated walking through an just incredibly dangerous city, why would that have anything at all to do with a 15-year-old kid who is on the spectrum, who's supposed to be asleep in his bedroom, not roofied? Does this Joker even make that connection? Saying apples and oranges are the same because they are round. That's like the mentality of a preschooler. What do you mean? You are literally going to take valuable interview time devoted towards Sebastian, to the fact that your child is missing. Someone came into your home in the middle of the night and stole your child, your 15-year-old. Why are you bringing up a college student who lived in another state, who came to Nashville and got drunk? Where is the call me Nancy Grace. I do feel like I'm being a little emotional, but does this make sense to anyone, or is it just me that it seems like this is kind of bizarre and crazy? It bothers me the way Chris says my house, not our house. Totally agree, Christy. Totally. Glad someone else saw that moment. Yeah, let's see, beach. Let's see. What did y'all find? Beach, 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 beach. Seal. You won't be on the well, I missed it. Beach Life. I don't see where you. That's the other part, Gillian. The neighbors, the people in the area, those people that were searching, they've all said the same thing. They have not, Chris has not left the house to go look for Sebastian. They've not been seen out with all the searchers. They haven't even been seen walking around. Seth, on the other hand, has been out like in the woods alone looking for him. Like he's not stopping. He's looking everywhere that he can find. It's the bio dad's family and the community that's been doing all the searching. They did not even attend 4 vigils for Sebastian. 4 vigils, and they didn't go because they said they got death threats. But they had 4 vigils, and yet in this particular interview, they say, oh, well, believe it or not, there's people that don't even know he's missing. What do you think the vigils are for, Chris? The vigils are for getting the word out about what happened to a child that's gone missing. Why in the hell wouldn't you go? What do you mean? Your death threats. Okay, get the sheriff's department to go with you. They'll give you an escort. This is okay. I'm emotional again. All right. After avoiding looking at her man, she looks down to the left as if remembering something. This is Chris's 5th marriage. Well, you got 5th marriage. You've got CPS cases. Tells us an awful lot, doesn't it?
got a 22-year-old 6 foot
I can't listen
4 or 7.
because it's
I can promise you Every single parent has been vetted. I can't go into details, but I can tell you we have been vetted and we have been cleared of all possibility of wrongdoing, foul play. There's nothing to that. Um, we've heard all
Why are
kinds of
you
stories.
laughing?
I pretty much.
Why are you laughing, Chris? Like, I can't imagine this entire story, situation, setup. What would you find to be even remotely amusing that you would be chuckling? Oh, Scott Peterson did the same thing, didn't he? Yeah, seems like people may chuckle as deflection.
Just don't even go online anymore at this point.
I, on the other hand, I do go on and I do talk to these folks, and I want them to understand they have this formulated opinion on who we are, not who we truly.
Okay, now you guys are understanding at this point that social media, we are the bad people, right? Now, again, we're redirecting. What was it that Barry Morphew? I don't think I can remember now. How many people did Barry Morphew blame for the disappearance of his wife? Do y'all remember? I went through, there were like 8 different situations, people that he blamed for the disappearance of his wife, Suzanne. Remember that? All the way up, leading up to, what was it? God. That's right, Chris. You need to give old Bear a phone call. You and Barry, you guys would have so much to talk about. Barry even made the case to the FBI that it was indeed God that was responsible for Suzanne just poof into thin air, missing from the safety of her multi-million-dollar home in the middle of nowhere. God did it. That's right. God did it. So why don't you give old Bear a phone call, and maybe you guys could sort of compare notes about what you're dealing with, because somebody's got to be to blame, because Sebastian is nowhere to be found. And quite curiously, the bloodhounds didn't pick up his scent even around your own backyard. I'm a little curious. Did Sebastian never go into the backyard? Was he ever allowed to walk in the backyard? Why wouldn't they pick up his scent in the backyard? Curious minds. We all want to know.
Truly are. They've never met us. We've never crossed paths with some of these folks. But I have told them online, if you want to know, just ask me. I'll answer your questions to the best of what I can. There are some things that I cannot
The cops
give you
won't let
because
you
law
talk,
enforcement
right?
has dictated that we are not to provide certain information. But I will try. I am direct, I am brash, but I am very respectful.
I'm brash too
So,
sometimes, Chris.
If you have questions, ask. I'll give you what I can. Just be respectful, please. And keep in mind, there's 3 parents and there's thousands and millions of people out there that may have a question. We are trying to get to them. I promise you.
Why? So you want to know the questions, right, Chris? You want to be helpful. Like, that's something that's important to you, that you want to try to get to all these questions. Here's my question, Chris. Why do you care what we think? Like, do you think that one of these people on social media came into your beautiful home in the middle of the night and took a 15-year-old kid that's on spectrum who would be terrified if a stranger came into their bedroom in the middle of the night to steal them? You think one of us did? It's curious for us. We don't know why you care what we think. Like, why is it so important? Why are you trying to get to all our questions? We don't matter. We're nobody. I mean, perhaps some can make the case of we're very important because in the case of Gabby Petito, we're able to get the pictures out. We're able to get the story out. So when someone in their motorhome comes driving past a little camper in the middle of nowhere, literally filming, and happens to catch Gabby Petito's van right there where her dead body is found, it was YouTube that did that. It was TikTok. It was social media commentators that caused that to happen directly. What if we do that for you guys, Chris? Wouldn't you be happy? Wouldn't it make you so excited and happy if Pascal Show and Iked Mel and Lawyer if all these YouTube channels that love to discuss true crime that have literally thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of subscribers in all 50 states, in all 9 continents, everywhere across the world, that they all have a video camera, maybe someone inadvertently got a video at 3:00 in the morning of Sebastian with whoever it was that took him, Chris. Wouldn't you want that to come out? I don't quite understand why you're mad at people talking about this story. Why do you care what our opinion is of you? Because as far as I can see, that 15-year-old, that's what matters. What matters with that 15-year-old is that everyone knows this story, that everyone is talking about this story. And the people that can make that happen is the social media true crime community. So it's a little bit confusing to us why you don't seem to like us much.
How has your guys' life been affected by that? Like, I know that's a broad question, but what's like when you wake up in the morning, what's it just like?
Miserable, to be honest with you.
Think of it like this. You wake up every morning and your routine is what it is and you know it, right? Now wake up when this happens and you can't figure out what to do. You struggle every single day on trying to get out of the bed, to deal and face everybody's negativity, and you try to make it a positive thing.
Or the fact that my son's still not home.
That's what's
We
important.
have
is
a bedroom that's empty
Sebastian.
that is never normally ever empty, except for when he's with his dad every other weekend. So now we have a child that's missing. So there's no words to describe it, but I can just tell you, it's like you get up and now you don't know what to do.
Sebastian's parents also talked about how his actions and behaviors could be different, or how he would respond in a new environment.
Well, that's kind of tricky because Sebastian hasn't been on his medication in 20 days. So he is rambunctious. He's going to be hungry. He turns into a bottomless pit. I mean, he's your teenage boy, always hungry. On the spectrum, yes. But not one autistic child in this world is like another one. What we can tell you is he's smart. He can be goofy. He kind of has issues with personal space. He hasn't mastered.
He can be
up in your face kind of kid.
He can be aggressive if he's upset.
Yeah. He's emotional. He's a teenager.
He doesn't like punch and hit and throw, but he gets really like aggressive stance or like clipped where he just won't talk to you or
which might be exactly the kind of behavior that would really piss a man off if he had the belief that when he spoke, that kid should pay attention. And that when he tells that kid to do something, that kid should do it now. And you don't argue back with that kind of man, right?
You know, if he's really upset, he like growls.
Yeah,
What are you laughing at, Chris? This woman is clearly in pain. This woman is absolutely suffering. And she is trying to be honest about her child and answer Olivia's question and explain to Olivia what Sebastian might be experiencing. And she's describing things that are not all rosy and happy. He can be aggressive. He doesn't punch and hit. He will growl. And Chris starts laughing. Chris, you're laughing at a kid who's gone, who doesn't have the resources to take care of himself. You're laughing. Like you're laughing at a special needs person who is in danger. And you're laughing? How often did you laugh to his face, Chris? Like when Sebastian would be so overwhelmed and unable to manage the frustrations and the stressors in front of him, and he was losing control because he didn't have the resources to make sense of what he was experiencing or what he should even do. And it came out as a growl or clenched fists or tears. How many times did you look at this kid and laugh at him, Chris? Because if you can laugh at him while he's missing, then it's a pretty safe bet that you were possibly laughing at him before he was missing. Or maybe your laughter is nervous laughter. Maybe you're feeling a little uncomfortable thinking, gosh, why is she saying this? I told her what to say. I didn't tell her to say anything about him getting angry and the way he acts when he's angry. Why is she doing this? I mean, you kind of look like you might be thinking that, but I could completely be wrong. I'm just guessing, right? I don't think laughing at a 15-year-old kid who's on the spectrum being missing, I'm not sure that that's proper material for laughter. But it can be nervous energy, I admit.
Share, look.
Be vigilant. You know, we don't expect everybody to stop what they do and spend every waking minute. Expect everybody to stop what they do. Be vigilant.
Okay. This is weird. Like, this is very weird. What we're going to rewatch here, I can't make sense of it. I don't know. I'd like to understand it. I don't. I'm going to slow it down. Something happened right here. Okay. And it took me a minute to listen over and over and over and over to finally figure out what she's saying, right? I think she says, be aware. And as she begins to say, be aware, he says, be vigilant. But isn't that saying the same thing? It's redundant, correct? But they're not saying, she doesn't say be aware and then he follows up with be vigilant. It's like right on top of each other. Be aware and be vigilant is said at exactly the same time. What? These people that don't even make eye contact at one another, they're now like communicating psychically, and they're just able to know what the other one is going to say. Is that what we're supposed to believe? I don't believe that at all. It's more like, I don't know, they had a little script written. They had some key phrases perhaps that they memorized or not. It's just a guess. What? Speculation Friday. So don't come for me. I don't know these people. I don't know anything about them. I don't know any of their neighbors. I've had nobody communicate with me. Every single opinion that I have that I am discussing comes 100% from this interview and from the first interview. But this, I can't make sense of.
Share, look, pay
Be
attention.
vigilant. You know, have we done it? Be vigilant.
You see where she says, pay attention?
Be vigilant.
Focus on her.
Be vigilant.
Pay attention.
Be vigilant. You know, have we done expect everybody to stop what they do and spend every waking minute? But you would be surprised on how easily people are complacent.
You haven't looked for him. You're now pointing the finger at everyone. You would be surprised how everyone can be so complacent. What?
Share, look, pay
Be
attention.
vigilant.
Do y'all see that? I think she says share, look, pay attention. Right? I think she said share, look, pay attention. But he says be vigilant. Like maybe it was her job to say share, look, and then he was going to pick up with be vigilant. This is weird. That's one of the weirdest things I've ever seen on video, right? Listen.
Share, look, pay
Be
attention.
vigilant.
That's what she says. She says share, look, pay attention. But when she says pay attention, he says be vigilant, which is redundant. It's exactly the same thing. So they had a script. They've been memorizing. They acted out portions of questions that they thought someone may ask. I don't know. It's like he half-ass cares if anyone looks, or he would be there. Yeah, I think it's absolutely hilarious that he says, you would be surprised that people are so complacent. Like you? You got to be really complacent to have a missing child in your family and not be out there tearing it up, right? Like if one of my nieces or nephews was missing, I would be on the road, anywhere looking. Like I would not be sitting at home. I'd be damn grateful for everyone to stop and help look for my child. Absolutely, Beach Live. Let the woman speak. It is her son. Very well said, Gillian. Absolutely, very well said. Did they ever say what a kind, sweet boy he is? The closest they came to that moonlight view was saying he can be goofy. And then they kind of smiled. They said he eats a lot because he's a teenager. And other than that, it was just sort of, not really. JLR asked him for an interview, and he said he would only do an interview if he had the questions first. So there is they did memorize. That then does explain this little kind of strange moment, right? I can't believe she can even do an interview without a tear, not even a runny nose. No, but I do think I think she has contempt for him. I don't think she looks like she likes him very much. So, all right. Oh my goodness. 2 hours, y'all. But part of that is because I was talking without my without the microphone on. My apologies. I am incredibly grateful that they did, in fact, find Riley. That is so valuable for his parents, his friends, and his family, to be able to heal and try to. Yeah, I hate to say move on. There's no moving on. You know, it's such a enormous loss of potential and life. It's a. I don't care who you are. If you've ever had a child off at college or a young adult kid running around town, the fear is there. The fear is there that the drinking or potential drugs, that somehow your child gets caught up in a terrible situation, right? And this, what happened to Riley, this is every parent's nightmare. Every parent's nightmare. Same thing happened with Gabby Petito. Just terrible fear that these late night parties and drinking, that, you know, something goes wrong. It's terrible. So, but we also have to try to let them live their life, and that is very hard as well. Oh, well, JLR is amazing. I won't listen to anyone who says different. He marches to his own drummer. He's clearly brilliant. He does things different, and I like that. I like people that are unique and don't follow the crowd. And one thing is for certain about JLR, he is not lazy, Chris. I bet if he was anywhere around, he would be out there looking for Sebastian when you're resting. So JLR is a good guy. Yeah, we'll see what ends up happening. Okay, so we are at 2 hours, 21 minutes. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for sitting and bearing through, you know, this long video. I know you've probably seen it before with other creators, so you're very kind. I appreciate you. If you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up or thumbs down. I would appreciate it. It helps the video be seen, kind of get into the algorithm. I also would welcome you hit the subscribe button if you would be interested in following any future videos that we do, be a part of our discussion and whatnot. So that's really the main reason for subscribing, is that you get a notification. You know, I'm not talking about joining as a member where it's money, but just hit the subscribe button so that you get notifications that we got a new video out or we're going live. So I appreciate that. I am going to do Smiley's video. Okay, same way we did this one. But it is 6:05. I need about an hour, maybe. I've got something happening outside that I need to go and kind of just stick my head out there and say, "Hey, y'all, how y'all doing?" You know how we old Southern women are. Let me go kind of check in and say hello to people that are talking over the fence, and then we'll do the Smiley's interview. And y'all get to watch me get upset all over again. That's fun, right? It's fun to watch me when I get irritated. I know. I shouldn't do that, though. I know I shouldn't do it. I do, though. All right. Copy. Okay. So I guess where are we at? Yes, I am very sad about take a few deep breaths before Smiley's interview. See, Gillian knows me. Gillian's going to be like, "Oh, Jules, you are going to get hot under the collar. You are going to get so irritated." I know. I've got a feeling it's going to happen. So if you want to watch somebody make a fool of themselves, then join us over on Smiley's. I'll be live. Like I said, I'll start up a new video here in about an hour, 6:06, probably around 7 o'clock. And then we will watch that video. And the way you guys are acting, it's got to be a doozy. So I'll have to get me a fresh Diet Coke and put on a comfortable t-shirt and be ready to have a little fit. All right. I am incredibly sad about Her Royal Highness Princess Catherine. People knew that there was something happening. It was not managed very well by the palace, and she really doesn't owe anybody anything, and that was really what my position was: is don't put out fake pictures, don't put out fake stories, leave it alone, let it sit quietly. If you need to, all you have to say is she's not talking. You don't owe anybody anything. And they didn't do that. They created these kind of mysterious messages that it just went off the rails. And I think finally probably Catherine said, just let me make a video, tell everybody what's going on. And I think it probably works. I think everybody gets quiet now and gets out of her way and lets her do what she needs to do. I am very sad. I think it is horribly ominous that you have both King Charles and Princess Catherine both undergoing chemotherapy at the exact same time. That is very disconcerting. So, in Scotland, it's 11:07. Oh, you're going to stay awake. Okay, Gillian. Thank you. You're a sweetheart. I'll be back in about an hour, about 45 minutes. And then we will do the Smiley interview. We'll cuss and discuss together. All right. Thank y'all for being here. Please subscribe if you have not already. Hit the thumbs up, even if you don't subscribe. And I will be back.